All right, hello guys. Happy Monday. Let me make sure this is streaming and broadcasting over to YouTube. When I do these live streams, I like to make sure um, I can see myself over on YouTube as well. Okay, we are live over there. My science channel got, I think it was last spring, my science and technology channel got taken down midstream because I was talking about something I guess YouTube didn't approve of. And I went to share something in the chat and it said error. And then when I went over to YouTube to see myself, there was like snow and this video's been taken down. So I always check to make sure that I'm there. Let's see who's here thus far. J Bones, Abdul Gaines. Surprise, surprise. I was about to alert the group, Abdul Gaines, but since you're here, well, Abdul Gaines, I'll do it so Buckeye Alex knows as well. Give me a second, guys. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. Today is my day off. At my 9 to 5, I work a compressed schedule. Of course, my dad says he doesn't want anyone doing anything for him on a Monday. He doesn't want anyone working on his car. He doesn't want to see the doctor on a Monday because they're still hungover from the weekend. Anyway, let me send this so Buckeye Alex knows because I think he asked if I was doing this today. So I'll leave this link here. Abdul Gaines is already going ham right there in the chat. Guys, if you want to super chat something during this is people love this. People love to see the Michigan program in disarray. If you want to super chat something, you're welcome to do that. If you want to donate via Cash App or PayPal during this, you're welcome to do so as well. I have 2 articles I'm going to read. I mean, this. It's I'm glad there's always something exciting regarding our program. I mean, Jim's back, so regardless of what happens, we're gonna have Jim. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna play this intro dedicated to Joshua Gattis, and then I'll jump in. All right, I'll see you on the other side of this brief intro. Hey guys, if you haven't, please hit that like button. Please get the engagement up. That's those are free and that's very, very helpful. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like this stream/video. Please share it. Please subscribe to my channel. Let's see. I already made the donation solicitation stuff. I'm going to start this off by going in reverse, guys. I'm going to thank Josh Gattis for his service. I think, let's see, that was 2019 when Josh came on board. And if you look at that that beautiful intro I created when Josh came on, let me delete some pictures out here. So I make sure I have room. StreamYard has a limit to the number of pictures you can have in your studio at any one time. And I have a whole collection. If you guys hit that like button, please. Pretty please hit the like button. Yeah. And so when Josh came in, his whole thing was the whole thing surrounding Josh, other than the fact that Jim hired him after a phone conversation, was the speed and space. So we were coming off the yet another loss to TTDS. We were coming off yet another loss to that team down south. That was the we were coming off the revenge tour year. After which our team was the end of which our glorious football program was humiliated done at the Horseshoe at the hands of Urban Meyer's Ohio State Buckeyes. That was Jim's last chance to beat Urban Meyer in this rivalry. Please hit the like button, guys. And so, Michigan went into that game ranked higher than the Buckeyes, and I feel like that game was there for Michigan to win. I thought that, of course, Don Brown took a lot of heat for that loss. Him and his Viper defense got shredded by Dwayne Haskins and Chris Olave and that entire receiving core. I think Ryan Day was the offensive coordinator that day. But also on the other side of the ball, the offense laid an egg. Jimbo was calling the plays, and he called run play after run play after run play after run play with an occasional pass. We had 3 NFL wide receivers, Tariq Black, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, and we had a 6'8" tight end running around out there in Zach Gentry. And my personal opinion in that game was that we just didn't take enough shots downfield. And I think that's where our advantage was. And I thought that all the fade routes, all the jump balls, Shea Patterson threw to Nico Collins that day. He won the majority of them. I thought that Donovan won the majority of his matchups that day. Tariq Black was coming back from yet another injury, so he wasn't quite 100%. Zach Gentry dropped a touchdown pass. He caught it, and the Ohio State defender knocked the ball away. But my opinion was our philosophy that day should have been pass first, run second. Jim flipped it. He wanted to pound the Ohio State defense that day into submission with his offensive line and with Karan Higdon, and then take what we could get by the passing game. So I think both coaching staffs let us down that day. So we all know Jimbo kept Don Brown for another 2 years, and then it was after that humiliating game, and then I think yet another bowl loss at the hands of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Jim decided that he would take his hands. Well, he would do what we thought was take his hands off the offense and give it to someone else. So then sometime over the spring, early summer, we heard of him hiring a gentleman named Josh Gattis, who I believe played at Alabama a little bit. Came from down south. He was going to breathe life into the Michigan offense and bring it up to date. And his thing was speed and space. I think he tweeted that hashtag speed and space. We're gonna spread the players out. We're gonna spread the defense out. We're gonna go. No more of this conservative stuff. And that next year when Josh came in, that was Shea Patterson's first year. We were looking for the speed and space. We saw a lot of indecision. We still had the NFL wide receivers there, but now there was less of a passing game, and Chris Evans had his academic troubles, so Zach Charbonnet was back there, and it really wasn't clear what we had Josh's first year. The team kind of petered along, seemed to gain some momentum halfway through the season after that Ronnie Bell drop loss at Penn State, and then eventually we got whipped again at home by TDDS. I think this time Ryan Day was the head coach. Justin Fields was the quarterback. So we really weren't sure what we had there. The COVID year, Joe Milton takes over. We all know how that turned out. We still didn't know what we had because players opted out. There was no, the entire offseason schedule was thrown off. There was no preseason schedule against non-league teams. So they jumped right into Big Ten play. And it wasn't even sure that we would have Big Ten play. So the offense, that year was a mess. Of course, we know, Abdul Gaines would say that we chickened out of playing TDDS that year. We forfeited the Maryland and the Ohio State game because we had too many positives. Abdul Gaines, I think that's what it was. We had too many positives. We didn't chicken out. So that year, we still didn't know what we had. And then going into this year, hit the like button, guys. Get those likes up. So this year, we go into what I thought was going to be a rebuilding year with a first-time full-time starter, young players everywhere. Ronnie Bell was the dean of the wide receiver core. Hassan Haskins was the dean of the backfield. And it really wasn't clear what we would have. And what do you know? The team started off slow, suffered a heartbreaking loss up in East Lansing that was impacted by the Big Ten refs. And we go on to have a dream season. We beat TDDS. We beat Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. And we lose handily to the Georgia Bulldogs in the national semifinal. But the bottom line is the offense, it rolled this year. It started off being a run-oriented offense, and many of us were scratching our heads and saying, okay, can we win this way? When are we going to see the Cade McNamara that we saw against Rutgers? When are we going to see the Cade McNamara that we saw come in and relieve Joe Milton last year? Why isn't he throwing the ball? And then gradually, they started working in passing plays. They started working in flea flickers, jet sweeps, gadget plays, tight end, delayed releases to Eric All and Luke Schoonmaker. And we developed more of a passing offense. And at least according to the media, Josh Gattis and Jim Harbaugh seemed to form some sort of happy medium in the middle where they agreed on the percentage of run to pass. Though we were still a running team with a passing game that complemented. So the net of it is Josh Gattis finally had his breakout year as an offensive coordinator. And he looked like he knew what he was doing, calling the plays. So, just like Jimbo, you have that hot year. Perhaps you want to capitalize on it. You want to capitalize on that year. So, Jimbo tested the NFL waters. Things didn't work out. So he's back. So we have our ringleader, our awkward caricature ringleader back in the head coaching position, which I think is the most important thing. But word just broke yesterday, or maybe the day before, that Josh is taking his talents to South Beach. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. Thank you, LeBron James, for that timeless reference. So Josh is taking his talents to South Beach to be the offensive coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes. So now Jimbo has to find a defensive coordinator to replace Mike McDonald. And now he has to find an offensive coordinator to replace Josh Gattis, unless Jimbo goes back to calling the plays himself. Maybe Jimbo learned his lesson from the Revenge Tour Ohio State game. Anyway, with that all being said, I have 2 articles I'm going to read, one from one from ESPN, which talks about Josh leaving, and then another one from the Detroit News, which interestingly discusses Josh not feeling appreciated for his contributions. So that's interesting. So they must not have offered him enough money for his services and for what he accomplished this year. So I'm going to read this first article. These are not long articles, and then I'll wrap up. Josh is taking his talents to South Beach. I love that. That's classic line when LeBron said that. Okay. So this reads as follows. Sources: Miami hires Josh Gattis away from Michigan to be football team's new offensive coordinator. Mario Cristobal's deliberate methodology in putting together his first staff at the University of Miami is delivering another bold-faced name for a hire. There's a helicopter going, flying overhead outside, if you guys hear something. Miami has finalized a deal to hire Michigan's Josh Gattis as its new offensive coordinator, sources told ESPN. As the Wolverines' offensive coordinator in 2021, Gattis won the Broyles Award as the nation's top assistant and is regarded as one of the country's rising coaching prospects. Amazing what a good year will do. Gattis has already texted his players and informed them that he's leaving, a source told ESPN's Tom Van Haren. In a text to some Michigan players, Gattis said, "Unfortunately, the past few weeks has told a different story to me about the very little appreciation I have here from the administration. In life, I would never advise anyone to be where they are not wanted." Wow. So maybe they didn't give him enough money, or they didn't offer him enough money to stay. The hire of Gattis gives Cristobal a strong coordinator pairing, as he hired veteran defensive coordinator Kevin Steele away from Maryland while he was in the process of finalizing a deal with the Terrapins last week. Steele is considered a strong tactician and experienced in high-stakes recruiting battles. Gattis proved to be one of the top coordinators and play callers in college football this season, and at least one NFL team was among the programs interested in him. Michigan finished number 16 in scoring offense this season with an average of 35.7 points. On the way to the school beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten, and clinching a bid in the college football playoff. In the wake of that sun-kissed Michigan season has come a flurry of uncertainty for the Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh openly chased NFL opportunities, including 2 interviews with the Minnesota Vikings. Harbaugh flew to Minneapolis for a second interview this past week, but the job is expected to go to Los Angeles Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell, sources have told ESPN's Adam Schefter and Dan Graziano. Prior to Harbaugh seeking the Vikings job, defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald left to take over the defensive coordinator position with the Baltimore Ravens. That position at Michigan remains open. The Michigan offensive coordinator job has a frontrunner, as quarterbacks coach Matt Weiss is considered the likely replacement for Gattis internally. Weiss brought aspects of the Ravens' run game to Michigan this season and helped the team's offensive identity evolve during its Big Ten championship season. Gattis brings Miami a wealth of experience from high-profile programs. He has worked at Vanderbilt, Penn State, and Alabama. Gattis' season under Abdul Gaines' favorite coach, Nick Saban, is the co-offensive coordinator in 2018, gives him a shared sense of the Alabama model, which Cristobal has from his time there from 2013 to 2016. Gattis was considered the likely next choice for the head coaching job at Virginia if the Cavaliers hadn't come to an agreement with Tony Elliott. All right. I forgot that he won the Broyles Award. So that's the first article. So let's read some more about his feeling underappreciated by the administration. Please hit those likes. Hit those likes. Hit those likes. I think Abdul Gaines insisted that Michigan is in trouble. That might be an exaggeration. Close that. Okay, so this is from none other than Angelique Shengilis, and as is often the case, this jumped to another piece. So let me see if I can go back. Okay, so I won't close that this time. And this is entitled "Josh Gattis Leaves for Miami," saying the Michigan administration showed little appreciation. So this reads as follows. Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gattis, the Broyles Award winner as the nation's top college assistant coach last season, is moving on, and in saying his goodbyes to players in a text indicated that while he loved them, he had very little appreciation from the administration. That's interesting. Gattis, who completed his third season with the Wolverines, is now Miami, Florida's offensive coordinator. The Detroit News confirmed Sunday morning Fox's Bruce Feldman was the first to report the move. Gattis arrived at Michigan in 2019 from Alabama, where he had been co-offensive coordinator. So that model seems to be pretty popular in college, having co-offensive coordinators and co-defensive coordinators. Gattis sent his farewell to his Michigan offensive player Sunday morning in a text obtained by the Detroit News. Okay, so this is what it says. Fellas, it's with a broken heart I write this, the text read. I am resigning my position here at Michigan to go to another university. I have given everything I have to you guys in Michigan. I sacrificed so much personally to stand in the fight with each of you, which I would never take back. Unfortunately, the past few weeks has told a different story to me about the very little appreciation I have here from the administration. In life, I would never advise anyone to be where they are not wanted. And I owe that to my family and my integrity to hold myself to this standard. I love, excuse me. I love each and every one of you to the bottom of my heart. Our memories will never be forgotten, but our struggles is what makes us who we are today. It's what grew this love and will forever hold it together. I am the biggest fan of you and biggest friend to you. Most importantly, I am one phone call away if you need anything. Love you guys. All right. So here we go. Gattis made made a $900,000 base salary last year and was set to make $1 million this year. He made $250,000 in bonuses last year. According to his contract signed last year, Gattis owes Michigan a $500,000 buyout within 30 days. That likely will be paid to Michigan by Miami. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh, who last week was not offered the Minnesota Vikings job and will be back coaching the Wolverines this fall, now has two coordinator positions to fill. He has not yet hired a defensive coordinator to replace Mike McDonald, who spent one season at Michigan before returning to the Baltimore Ravens as their defensive coordinator. Harbaugh could promote an offensive coordinator from within his staff, and that very likely would be Michigan quarterback coach Matt Weiss. Weiss also came to the Wolverines from John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens staff as quarterbacks coach and is entering his second season. It's also possible that Ronald Bellamy, who was hired before the 2021 season as receivers coach but moved to safeties, could move back to receivers. That would then leave two openings on defense. Okay, I think this is almost over. Gattis helped lead Michigan to a 12-2 record in 2021, including a Big Ten championship and a spot in the college football playoff semifinals, where the Wolverines lost to eventual national champion Georgia. Under his direction, Michigan's offense finished ranked 25th nationally, averaging 443.1 yards per game and 16th in scoring at 35.8 points per game. Gattis was nominated by Michigan for the Broyles Award and won the prestigious award given to the top college assistant. During an interview with the News last month at the Michigan High School Coaches Association Clinic, Gattis was asked if he felt redeemed by winning the Royals coming off a challenging 2-4 season in 2020. Honestly, this season wasn't about me. It was about watching our players have success. Gattis said in January to those guys out there and have success, and it goes and it pays off. Then you see your vision come into play. That's the thing as a coordinator that you enjoy. You're going out there, playing with your guys and seeing those guys excel. It puts a stamp on it, and you're just proud of the players. Gattis said his 3 years at Michigan helped him feel prepared and confident. Okay, we're at the end here, guys. We've been through everything. We've been through a lot of highs. We've been through some lows. I'm just proud. We've had some really, really great moments here. It was hard to judge 2020 because a lot of people put a ton of feelings and views into one season that was kind of a debacle in so many ways for everybody across the country. And so to go out there and really have this season that now we can reflect on, and we can reflect on 2019, we can build from those two. It makes you proud, but you're always growing as a team, always growing as a coordinator. Now Gattis will continue to grow as a coordinator at his new position in Miami. So once again, Josh Gattis, thank you for your service. Please hit the likes. I'm going to read some of your comments. Let's see. We're at 27 minutes. Alex, do you want to come up? If you say yes, I'll drop it. If not, I'll just read through the comments and I'll finish up. Let's see. Why don't we start with our super fan, Abdul Gaines. He says, Gattis, I salute you. Of course. Wolf58 says, yep, clear as a bell. Here we go with the Harbaugh. Here we go piling on Harbaugh. I don't know who Abdul Gaines' favorite coach is. Is it Abdul? Is it Harbaugh or is it Nick Saban? Hey guys, hit the like button. Hit the like button. He says Harbaugh turned a memorable season into a hot mess. Only Jimmy could do something like that. So Josh Gattis not feeling appreciated. I wonder if that was either salary or he was not next in line for the head coaching position when Jim was almost out of the door. Hit the like button, guys. Here we go. Here we go. The Wolverines are in trouble. Trevor says, my Monday is going better than Jim Harbaugh's. Guys, the Super Chat is live. If you want to make a donation to the channel, here's my Cash App and PayPal. That's in the description box below. Abdul Gaines says, the Wolverines are going to get their natural behinds kicked Thanksgiving weekend 2022. Wolf says, Abdul Gaines didn't want to be the last clown at the circus. No, he says, Gattis didn't want to be the last clown at the circus. I'm sure there's more departures to come. Okay, so we're piling it on this morning. Abdul Gaines says, relationships never flourish when they're rooted in inconvenience. Harbaugh is in Ann Arbor because no one else wants him. You can't expect great things in a relationship rooted in convenience. J Ball says, epic moment, LOL. That defense got shredded indeed. He's talking about the Revenge Tour game. Yeah, Alex, if you want to come up, I'll drop it. If you want to come up, you can hit it. If not, it is officially the lunchtime hour now. I'm off today, which is why I was able to start it at 11:30. J-Bone says, Tariq Black was phenomenal. Yeah, when he was healthy. He was healthy. Wolf says, was Gattis really the offensive coordinator or OC in name only? I don't think it's that big of a loss for the program. Still not a good look for the program. I will be all right. – Yakov says, if I were on the staff, I would have been looking for another job over the past month. Michigan/Harbaugh offered no job stability. Wolf says, 2020, the year mighty Michigan ducked the Buckeyes. Okay, you're sounding like Abdul Gaines now. Please hit the like button if you're new coming in. Alex entered the building. Your coach says, Sam Webb says another coach or two may announce his departure. They were all looking into other positions. Yeah, if the head guy's going, yeah, why not? I mean, because if another head coach was coming in, that person was likely going to clean house and bring in their own people. AD says we hear. That's a nod to Sheed. We hear. Alex says like and subscribe. Alex is backstage, so I will let him up. He is the white circle today. What's going on, Alex?
How's it going?
Oh, fair to middling, as my dad says.
Happy Monday to everybody. I've been doing a little bit of background and some reading on the situation in Ann Arbor. I don't know if you have heard this, but there were reports coming out late last week about Jim Harbaugh's interview with the Vikings, and he had a previous relationship with the GM of now the Vikings back in San Francisco. And there are some additional reports saying that, he told some of the staff to take some time off. They might want to start interviewing for the other positions. And I think he believed that interview was a kind of a formality of sorts because of the relationship. And it wasn't that it was an actual legit second interview, which is interesting. It's interesting on a number of fronts. So when it comes to college football primarily is won in recruiting. You got to have the best players. You have to have the most talented team on the field to win. So I'd say probably 90% of the time, the most talented team on the field wins. And, I think it tells exactly what kind of person that he is. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but, when he had a terrible season last year, when they went like 2-4, he was trying to get the Chargers job. When they had, a really good season, they went 13-1 or 13-2. And he's still trying to leave. He was in a number of he was in contingency, I think, for final interviews for a number of jobs, the Miami job, the Minnesota job, even the Jacksonville job.
The Raiders.
Down by where I am. So I found that really interesting that, he was actually out interviewing after the season that he had. So he had a really bad year last year, and he was, still trying to go back to the NFL. He had an amazing season, or back in 2020, he had a really bad season, was trying to go to the NFL. He had a very, very good season, finally beat Ohio State, and is still trying to leave to the NFL. So to me, if I'm anybody that says to me that this particular person, they have a goal in mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does question, what your actual level of commitment long term is. And I know we've had discussions about this previously. This is the longest stop that he's ever been at. He's usually 4 years and he's moving on. And there are coaches like that. Like there are coaches that come in, get things moving in the right direction, and then they move on. That's just it's just maybe from a comfortability standpoint, that's just what they're comfortable doing. This particular situation is more out of it's almost like an ex-husband that tried to leave his wife for a job on the West Coast and didn't get the job, so he has to come back home and deal with her, so to speak. And she wanted him to leave. I think they were both willing to kind of part ways, and now they're kind of just like stuck together. That's kind of what this situation really reminds me of. And it's unfortunate, especially because of a lot of the kids who, dream of playing at Michigan or who want to play for Jim Harbaugh. You really have to question what his level of commitment is to the University of Michigan long term. And that's not to say that he's a bad coach. It's not to say he's a bad person. I just think situational wise and fit long term might not necessarily be a good thing for him. And a lot that comes to kids and coaches and parents and all those things kind of come into play when you think about are you going to send your kid there, or I'm interviewing for this job. You're probably going to get a lesser type of candidate for an offensive coordinator position or position coaches because the story's kind of out on you. You're trying to get out of there at the end of the day. No matter how bad or how good it is, you're still trying to leave. That scares me. That really scares me. I would not be surprised if you don't see a large number of kids trying to get out of there or coaches trying to get out of there just because they don't want to be a part of that situation when it comes to him. Very similar what somebody in the chat said, like they don't want to be the last clown at the clown show.
Okay. I'm gonna that's funny. Yeah, I've heard that husband-wife analogy quite a bit since the announcement of him coming back, Jimbo. So yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does from here on out because he said that he's committed, and this won't happen again. So let's see if he's a man of his word.
I mean, I don't. There are a couple of things that I find really interesting, really, really odd about this whole situation.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that I think come into play when it comes to the reason why he didn't get the job and things that kind of happen after. Obviously, you have the Brian Flores situation, which everybody is probably aware of at this moment in time, who's filing a lawsuit against the NFL. So you have that come into play. You also, because if you remember, Jim was in contention for he down. I mean, I'm right outside of Jacksonville, so he was heavily discussed for the Jags job and heavily discussed for the Dolphins job. When he decided to take that second interview with the Vikings, there was a shift. And I think I'm curious what to happen between him taking that second interview. When that happened, everybody kind of moved on from him. And I don't know if that's because he decided that he just thought he'd be better off at Michigan. I don't know if something came up in that interview that is scaring other teams off, because typically when a candidate interview, they have their second interview and they're in contention for other jobs. They either give NFL teams talk. So it's like, okay, I didn't hire him because of this. But you're more than welcome to hire him. Like if I'm an organization, if I'm the Vikings speaking to another organization, yeah, we brought him on a second interview, and it wasn't what he thought it was going to be, something along those lines, and there has to be some type of information that has made those teams pull his name from their list. To me, that's the more interesting thing as to why. I think something happened where he doesn't have a choice but to coach in college now. And that could be a mixture of what happened with Flores and what happened with and something that happened with Harbaugh. I really think that there's something there. And I haven't heard anybody really talk about that, where his name has been pulled from other jobs since Minnesota decided not to hire him. To me, that's the more interesting story.
Well, I will say that during my live stream discussing him coming back, one of the articles said that the interview was going well up to a certain point. I don't know what was said. I don't know what was asked, but he's developed a reputation for being awkward. Of course, Abdul likes to call him a caricature. Even after he got fired, did he get fired from San Francisco?
He left.
Okay, so even then, he had the reputation for grating on people's nerves
He
after a
burns people
while.
out. He burns people out.
Yeah. So he's had a reputation for uh, being difficult to get along with for a long period of time, for a number of years now. There was an article I pulled. I think it was back in December after the no, that would have been before the Georgia loss, but apparently there was some sort of shouting match between him and Ward Manuel. So I mean he's got a track record now,
Yeah.
and there are things that are associated with him, like that episode of Seinfeld where the doctor was writing down on Elaine's Elaine's chart, like she's difficult. So he's got that now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really, really interesting. Listen, so I'm not sure when the Michigan spring game is, but Ohio State spring game is basically in about 60 days.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that Michigan spring game, or something along the lines of that, is within that same time period. You don't have an offensive or a defensive coordinator, and I'm pretty sure there's like 2 or 3 coaches that are probably looking to leave as well, from a lot of the reports with like 24/7 and the Michigan Insider. There are other coaches that are looking to leave that program. Not it's not confirmed, but I don't think Gattis is going to be the last one. And then you also have your recruiting battles like this. It affects so many different things. So I think it's scary. It's a really bad direction that they're heading into. Their spring practice with no offensive coordinator, no defensive coordinator. Just it's too much smoke around that program right now. And if I were a player, obviously, you take your opportunity. Having the opportunity to play sports in college. You take your opportunities where you can, and you make the best of every situation that you're in. You make the best of the situation where you're at. But if I had to pick a places, I would not want to be there right now. Too much uncertainty. You have a coach that's tried to leave the last 2 years. He fired everybody. The following year, your offensive and defensive coordinators are gone. And I also heard that Gattis, like when Michigan actually thought that it was a possibility that Jim could get that job, Gattis wasn't even mentioned for a head coaching candidate for that position. He wasn't even mentioned.
So that's probably why he feels underappreciated from
the which is understandable. But at the same time, at a job like Michigan, I mean, like Josh Gattis' first time as an offensive coordinator was at Michigan. He wasn't an offensive coordinator at Alabama when Jim hired him. I think he was a quarterback's coach or running backs coach or something like that.
He was probably that, but he was also co-offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but he wasn't calling any plays.
No,
he wasn't an offensive. He might have been in title, but not an actual job. Not his actual job was not. He wasn't an offensive coordinator at Alabama. So, which I mean, I think at the same time, I definitely think he earned. I think he definitely earned the right to be interviewed. I definitely think he earned that, which is probably why he felt like so disrespected from the administration for not even giving him the opportunity to interview. So I definitely understand that. And listen, when you're a coach and you leave to go somewhere else and you feel slighted, and you've recruited kids, you want to take those kids with you because you feel like you could possibly put them in a better position. But at the same time, everybody has to make the best decision for themselves. So I don't think that really has anything to do with Jim Harbaugh per se. I think that's more on the administration and of how they handle things. Listen, they have put themselves in a pickle when it comes to this Harbaugh situation. They had one good year. I definitely think they maxed out. They played as good as they could have possibly played. I think that's the best team they're going to have in a really long time. I think they'll look back 5-6 years from now and wish they could have gotten rid of him after the 2020 season. Because now it's just, it's very distracting to have to deal with this situation when it comes to him, where you could have changed. And listen, it could have been better. It could have gotten worse, right? But at least you would have some sort of stability within the program, and you don't have that when it comes to him.
Okay. I don't know if you have to run, but I'm going to read through the rest of these comments. Some by you. All right. Wolf 58 says, if I were working for Harbaugh, I'd be looking to jump ship too. There's no trust there. And you replied, he's been trying to leave for 2 years. Wolf says, never thought it was possible to clown an entire school and fan base. I was wrong. Harbaugh did it with one phone call. Abdul says, Harbaugh doesn't have the guts for the rematch for Thanksgiving weekend. Well, he's locked in now, Abdul. Wolf says, keep in mind, Washington also won the Pac-12 and made the playoffs once upon a time. Look at them now. Abdul says, if Ward Manuel knew what time it is, he would have fired Harbaugh for his shameless chasing of a middling NFL team's head coaching job. Okay. So shots at Ward, Harbaugh, and the Vikings. Okay. AD says he'll show up. He has to. Michigan has their Michigan man. Okay. Lots of laughing emojis. Phone call there. They got the Bucks last year, and rightfully so. He knows it's ass kicking time for the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. So prediction is that win was a flash in the pan. Wolf 58 says, I don't know if Michigan is in trouble in 2022. Their schedule is a joke. They may go 10-2 or 11-1. Gattis threw a hand grinder into the room on his way out of the door. You said probably, but OSU is by far the better team in 2022. If Knowles gets the D fixed, it's over. Okay, so Alex is predicting guys are going to kick our teeth in. Wolf 58 says, even if the defense is marginally better, it's no contest. Agree. Like and subscribe, everyone. Abdul Gain says, if I didn't quit the Wolverines after they quit against playing OSU, I would quit after this to finally beat OSU, win the BWM. Okay. Winford says, I'm really glad he's gone. Whether he was calling the plays or not, we had a good, consistent problem with explosiveness. We also had a problem with game planning in totality.
Whoa. Pause. The explosiveness for play calling, that is on your quarterback who can't throw 30 yards down the field. That's the first thing. Second thing is you hired a linebacker coach from the NFL to coach defense. And I think a lot of the game plan was good, but there's always going to be a learning curve for coaches that have never coached in college that come from the NFL to college. So you saw that a lot, especially with basically I'm speaking of the substitution issues that Michigan was having. At the even the latter part of last season. I'm sure if McDonald would have stayed another year, he would have gotten those things corrected. So, there's a lot of time. There's a reason why when they brought JJ in the game, it was for either running plays or deep passes. Because as much as I love Cade, and I think Cade is a really, really good player. He's a really solid college quarterback. He doesn't have a rocket arm. I think 40 yards is kind of like his cap, maybe 50 if he really humps it up there. But he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the arm talent that JJ does to be able to drive the ball 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, I agree. J-Bone says, very true indeed. Wolf 58 says, I guess we all know who's running things at Schembechler Hall, and it ain't Ward Manuel. Eddie Brown says, "Bye, Gattis." Winford said, "I heard a report that he asked for a 10-year, $100 million contract." Okay. Wolf says his interview lasted 9 hours. That's way too much time to spend with Harbaugh and walk away wanting to hire him for anything. There's a reason Gattis didn't get the UVA job. He's not head coaching material at this point. Brian Flores is available to coach at Michigan, although that probably won't go over well with Stephen Ross. Yeah, I think Ross has connections to the university. Trevor Cole says, Sam Webb said the lack of appreciation Gattis felt was because of the numbers in his contract. Sam said Harbaugh was ready to suggest Gattis to Ward as his successor if he left for the Vikings job.
Correct.
Okay.
Like I said, I think it was more about that was, you could look at it a couple different ways, but if you look at exactly what he said, it was definitely a reference to the administration, not to necessarily Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
And as I think it's interesting as much as Gattis and Harbaugh had their issues, because it's well documented they definitely had their issues. They were able to work together, so there's definitely a mutual. There's a mutual respect there, but not when it comes to the actual Michigan administration.
Okay. So Winford M says, stop. Gattis went 4 and out consistently and put the defense in bad positions often. And then he said, I'm not just talking about Cade. I'm talking his entire tenure. You can't run a 4-minute offense all day long.
Well, that they didn't. Those Michigan doesn't recruit those type of kids. They're mostly mid to low 4-star and high 3-star kids is what Michigan recruits. If you're looking for something along the lines of what the other programs, the Alabamas, the Oklahomas, the Ohio States, Georgia, if you look at those programs and look at the type of kids that they recruit, it's very, very different. It's a very, very different type of kid. So, I mean, they're the kids that want to play, for the most part, the kids that want to play at Oklahoma, that want to play at Alabama, that want to play at Georgia, or even now, Texas A&M, or even now USC. Very rarely are Michigan in the runnings for those kids. It's very, very rare that they are. It's a different type of kid. So if you're expecting a high-powered offense, Michigan just doesn't attract those types of kids at this moment in time. Michigan has not been proven to ever run that type of offense. They've always been a very run-heavy, ground and pound type of team. Even when they had, like the late 90s and early 2000s with, Steve Bresden and those guys, and Mike Hart, like they were still, a very run heavy offense. And passing was complementary. That's how they've always played. That's just what Michigan's identity is. So if you're expecting something very different than that, then you need to follow another program.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. We're approaching an hour. Alex, do you have anything else?
No, I'm curious. I think I'll just leave it at this. I'm curious what's going to happen in regards to the Michigan players and the transfer portal, and how all that is going to work.
Well, what's interesting, when I was reading Gattis's message to the players, it looked like he might have been tugging a little bit at some of them to say,
oh, yeah.
If you want to come down to Miami, if you want to follow me down, there are opportunities down here for you as a player. We're building something.
Yeah. And that's I think all coaches do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a position when I was playing college ball that the coach who actually recruited me ended up leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked that I want to come where he was going, and there was an emphatic no because of where he was going. But that happens. I mean, coaches, those coaches, when they with those young men, they develop such a relationship and such a bond with them. They definitely want to look out for them if they can, because they know more. They know more about that. Josh Gattis knows more about the University of Michigan than the players do when it comes to the things that happen behind the scenes. And he'll never. I mean, I think he did it very. He definitely toed the line on the message, but I think it was very, very professional and very upfront and very transparent. I mean, a lot of these kids that he was speaking to. I mean, he's known these guys for 4 or 5 years in some cases. Who's players who still have eligibility. So, why would you? And a lot of times, they say as a recruit you should pick the school, not the coach. But that doesn't happen. You always, the relationship is with the coach, not necessarily the school. So that's what I think he was kind of pulling in. I think that always happens just because you know you want to, when you recruit kids, you want to be able to, you want to have the opportunity to coach the kids that you recruited, not when you're going to another environment, it's a whole nother group of kids you have to learn and things like that. So that's another part of that, probably why he sent that message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not to mention Michigan has better players than Miami does. That always helps.
You know what? That's surprising, seeing as how South Florida was once the Garden of Eden for football players.
No, it still is.
Okay.
It still is.
Okay.
If Cristobal has an opportunity, if he can just put up a fence around Florida and get a quarterback from California or Texas, it's going to be a long couple of years.
So the U will be back.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. That's a giant size if. It's a giant size if.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and, you have NIL has changed college football, forever. But, if you just have the athletes, just get those, right? Because in recruiting, you get your lineman from the Midwest, you get your quarterback from California or Texas, you get your athletes from Florida, Georgia, and Louisiana, and you go play ball. You line up and you just go play ball. That's that for teams that have been extremely successful, that is the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
So for Miami, the thing about Miami is, and Florida State, you don't have to go far to recruit. You don't have to leave. You really don't, to get your playmakers. You really don't have to leave the state.
Mm-hmm.
So you could spend more money. You could spend less money trying to recruit. Like if I'm from Ohio, so like it costs more money to recruit a wide receiver in Tampa, like we're doing right now. Like we got a couple kids in Tampa that Brian Hartline is looking at. It costs more money for Brian Hartline to get all the way down to Tampa to talk to a kid, to see a kid play, than it does for Cristobal. That's what, a 4-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the car first thing in the morning, you're home by dinner, versus having to catch a flight, spending time away from your family, spending extra time. You got hotel and all that stuff, and all you got to do is drive up in the morning, drive home, and you're home with your family for dinner. Like, that's where Florida's, the South is where the athletes are at. They've always been in the South. That's just what it is. So
I think we saw that in the national semifinal.
Yep.
That's one of the things we saw.
That's where the athletes are.
Okay.
So, and players don't, as of right now, players don't go to Michigan. Like those type of kids don't go to Michigan. Like they just don't. Like Michigan develops players and they get diamonds in the rough here and there, but they typically don't get high caliber 4 or 5 star kids. They really never have. At least not for the last 20, 25 years. Like, they haven't been the school that does that. They just haven't. So I'm not saying that they're not capable. It's just not their track record currently.
Well, it's kind of like a Notre Dame type of thing, right?
Very similar to Notre Dame. But I mean, Notre Dame is in the running for some really top tier talent. I mean, Marcus Freeman has that thing.
Okay.
He has it humming right now. So, there are some kids that Ohio State is after, that Notre Dame's after, that, that's really heavy recruiting battle. So, but Michigan that's just not that's not what their identity is right now. They're a ground and pound, complementary passing game, heavy defensive team. They've always been that way. I don't think you can win that way. I think you'll never win that way. I don't think you ever win a national championship like that. Not in today's era. But they could be that team, but you just have to get the people in place and get the right coaches and develop the guys and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that they can't, because if Ohio State can do it, anybody can do it. It's just whether or not the actual administration wants to put their money behind it. That's what this all boils down to at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. Well, Alex, we are just over an hour. I need to wrap up and
sounds good.
Go outside and move around myself. So, as always, thank you for your
problem. Have a good week. I'll speak to you soon.
Talk to you later. Yep. Bye. All right, everyone. I'm going to wrap up there. Thank you to those of you who watched. Let's see what happens at Schembechler Hall next. Jim has to replace Josh, and he has to replace Mike McDonald. And it's rumored that other coaches are going to be going out, so there are going to be more coaches coming in, and then we have to take a look and see what happens in the ranks of the players. And then, the spring game is coming up. The quarterback battle is going to start. So there's lots to keep an eye on at Schembechler Hall. So I'm going to stop this here. Please like, share, and subscribe. The link to my book project is below, as is the link to the Big Words LLC newsletter. The Super Bowl is coming up, so I may do something on that. I'm just going to point this out here. Wolf58 says he up above. He said Josh Gattis threw a grind in the room. He meant a grenade in the room on his way out. That's what he meant. So, all right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Monday. There'll be more news coming. If you're watching on the playback, again, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to make a donation to the tip jar, that information is below this video. Go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Thank you, and I'll talk to you the next time. Josh Gattis, once again, thank you for your 3 years of service to the Maize and Blue. All right.